Hey everybody, welcome to episode 28 of Pop Kannon. I'm Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brian the Knight.
So, for all of our first-time listeners, welcome to Pop Kannon. Today, we are discussing Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Interesting.
As well as...
The series as a whole.
Yeah, we figured why not, after doing this Batman, the animated series giveaway, let's dive into Mask of the Phantasm and just kind of talk about one of our favorite series, of all time.
It's called vertical integration.
It's also called synergy.
So we are talking Mask of the Phantasm, which was a film that came out in 1993.
Yeah, theatrical release, wide release in theaters.
Christmas Day, actually.
They didn't decide to make it a theatrical release until about 8 months before it was going to do that. It was going to be direct to home. And then they were like, you know what? It'd be cool to put it in a theater. And they had no time to make the aspect ratio work.
Yep. And they had no time to promote it either. So it kind of just failed at the box office initially.
It went up. Who did it go up against? It was going up against a couple other movies.
I know that it lost out to an award. It was like an animated film award to The Lion King.
Oh,
well.
But Lion King, I think, came out in 94?
Yeah, Lion King
But
was
this was Christmas Day 93, so that all works out.
Well, it looks like with a budget of $6 million, the box office was 5.8, so it wasn't a total flop. But
That's actually... That is considered a loss, though.
it
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a bomb.
No, and then once it came out on home video, that's when it kind of became financially successful.
Yeah.
I had this on VHS and watched it endlessly, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I also had a tie-in comic
Yes, I still have it.
that it
Really?
was a mini book
Yep.
that came in, and that was one of my first comic books.
Yep, still have it.
Was there
Awesome.
a McDonald's tie-in for this?
Yes,
I think there was.
absolutely.
Because I feel like I remember having toys from McDonald's for Mask of the Phantasm.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely a massive impact just in terms of Batman movies.
Oh, I agree completely. It definitely is regarded as one of the best Batman films of all time between animation and live action.
Oh, yeah. Probably one of the best superhero movies ever made.
I don't know if I go that far. But, it's good.
I don't know how I watched it when I was younger and it kept my attention.
Batman punches people.
I think, honestly, that's the only... For me when I was younger, that must have been the only thing that kept me putting this into my VHS, was Batman punches people, because it's very slow at some points, and it's very adult story.
Yep.
But
Very.
Batman punches a guy off a motorcycle at one point.
He does.
And that was fucking sweet.
Right in his fucking face.
Yeah.
Right in his face.
Yeah, that guy's gonna have reconstructive surgery.
His face kind of caved in around Batman's face. It almost looked like he had punched a pillow.
For some reason, I always liked that he punched him instead of kicked him.
Yeah.
I feel like a kick is just kind of obvious, but he just straight up punched that guy right in the face on a motorcycle going 40 miles an hour.
He vaulted off of the front,
Yeah.
the front fender of the motorcycle, and punched that guy in the face, and then cannonballed through him, basically.
And let's be honest, he probably broke at least a bone in his hand when he punched him.
Oh, yeah.
Right in the face.
He immediately broke some ribs after taking a baseball bat to the
After
stomach.
having a baseball bat shatter on his
Fucking
ribs.
Billy Club.
Yeah.
No, but
So
going
awesome.
to your point, Rob, about holding attention and the adult themes, definitely the first half of the movie is just very slow and it sets everything up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think the second half of the movie is where everything kind of picked up with the introduction of the Joker.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as a kid watching it, in my opinion, I think that's kind of what won me over, but also the fact that Phantasm legitimately scared me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Great character design, and the voice is fucking. The voice
Stacy
is what freaks
Keach.
me out. Yeah.
Your angel of death awaits you.
It was great that
Heard.
Phantasm had a catchphrase right out of the gate.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna use this. It's gonna be great." You know, like the idea that she sat in her room and was like, "What would I say?" And that's what she settled upon.
Didn't she? It was Dana Delaney. Didn't she become Lois Lane
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Superman? Because of I think
Based
it's because
off of
this
this.
role. Yeah.
Based off of her performance in this, they liked her so much they made her Lois Lane.
Huh.
Yeah,
Honestly, I never knew that.
And they also gave the Phantasm that the same form as her father, and then that city councilman guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They had the same build generally.
To keep you guessing.
Although, I mean, obviously, like having watched it so many times, I knew the ending, but like they couldn't have played it any more obvious. I feel like it wasn't really a crazy reveal when it was like, oh, it's her.
I think it was, honestly, though.
Yeah.
Like, seeing it for the first time. Because I feel like they left breadcrumbs, but also I was a kid the first time I saw it, so...
For a kid,
it now...
it was probably a mind blower.
Yeah,
Like,
watching it now, you see it a mile away.
Yeah. And also, they released toys that tied into this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's how I got spoiled.
The Joker and Phantasm were a 2-pack, and the Phantasm was unmasked in the packaging.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see it until I got it on DVD, like years later. I don't know,
Really?
I never saw it. Yeah, I never saw it in theaters. As much as I love the animated series, I just never saw it in theaters. And yeah, so I got it sight unseen on DVD, and when it was out, I had seen the toy and been like, oh, okay, so the Phantasm's a redheaded woman. That's interesting. Okay. But yeah, so I was spoiled on that, so I can't say whether, because watching it the first time I already knew. So I'm a little bit of a tainted well on that.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I was still surprised, but I was pretty little when I saw this, and then I didn't see it again for years and years and years. But yeah, once you see it as an adult, you see the reveal of the Phantasm coming a mile away. But I feel like I remember as a kid being shocked that it was Andrea or whatever her name was.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea.
Andrea Beaumont.
Beaumont.
She got that fancy pronunciation.
Excuse me, Andrea.
Andrea. Or Andy,
Yeah.
as they like to call her.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great sequences in this, so I'm interested to hear what you guys liked. What was your favorite?
So I think, I'm sure it changes every time I watch it, but I just watched it again last night, and the scene that jumps out at me the most is when he, and by he I mean Bruce Wayne, is in the cemetery and it's pouring rain and he's just crying at his parents' gravestone. It strikes a chord, and Kevin Conroy's performance is phenomenal. He dug deep to like beg and plead with his parents to just kind of like let him be happy.
That scene's always stuck out in my head as just like so interesting that he's having a one-sided conversation, but he like the camera just cuts back to the gravestone and like lightning strikes and he's like, okay.
Yeah, no, that scene clearly really is a great example of Bruce Wayne's psychosis.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Just how fucked up he is.
He's nuts. Yeah.
I don't know. Wow, that's tough. My favorite sequence. I love anything with the Batwing. So I love when he's chasing the Phantasm along the roofs in the Batwing.
Nice.
Because I do love that. Not only do I love the Burton Batwing, but I also love the Batwing from the animated series. So sleek and fucking cool looking. Mm-hmm. I guess really though the last fight between Phantasm, Joker, and then Batman as well. That was probably, it's such a great crescendo, a great climax. I guess that's my favorite sequence.
You guys kind of both took what I was going to say, but
Womp womp.
yeah, so you beat me to the punch on that one. I guess if I can't pick those two, I pick Batman punching a guy off a motorcycle.
Jesus Christ.
But to go back to when he's just pleading at the grave, the line "I didn't expect to be happy" always kind of stuck out. Is that? I mean, that's the hallmark of Batman is
Yeah,
he
Bruce
has
Wayne's a little bit of a drama queen.
yeah. Well, he has to be fucking depressed all the time, and he can't be happy, and he can't have somebody waiting for him, or he can't go out and put his life on the line.
Right.
Punch people off motorcycles.
I think that my favorite is the stuff that's ripped from Batman Year One.
Oh,
where
yeah.
he's donning the ski mask and he's
The
just,
leather jacket.
just taking on 3 or 4 dudes just straight up. They've all got guns. He's got ninja stars. He's like, let's do it.
And they kind of treat him like a joke too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some guy. They're like, what the fuck is going on here? So they, the way that all goes down is one of my favorite things about it. And it's not necessarily pulled directly from Year One, but it's very reminiscent of what happens in the Year One book.
Yeah.
Same when he's getting chased by
The police.
by that kind of SWAT team, that police.
That scene is so... Oh, my God. That was great.
Yeah.
I love that scene specifically for the fact that they kicked Batman's ass.
Yeah.
And he was literally backed into a corner. And I think that's one of the best aspects of a Batman story is, he gets his bell rung.
Yeah.
And, just when you think, how the hell is he going to get out of this? Here comes Andrea to kind of, save him, almost. And
No, she definitely saved him. He was up Schitt's Creek.
yeah.
If she didn't show up, he was done.
Which is, insane because he, narrowly escaped getting captured. And I like that story beat for Batman. Is pushing him up against a wall and seeing how he can get out of it.
I had some problems with that scene. It's specifically in that after the cowl came off and he's running around with his face exposed, guys were hot on his heels, and he looked back a couple of times. I'm just like, I don't buy that no one would have been like, oh, hey, wait, that's Bruce Wayne.
Guy on the cover of Fortune magazine.
Right. I just, because as they did the cuts, the police were right on his ass.
Yeah.
The SWAT team was right on his ass. So I don't know, that whole scene, especially once the cowl came off, kind of bothered me. But that's one of the only things that I really didn't like about that.
But the ingenuity to put the cowl on a sawhorse.
Yeah, no, I agree, and they fucking shoot the hell out of it. Yeah.
I also, it's very interesting that even in the face of this being widely regarded as one of the best Batman films of all time, there is no blowback almost at all to him not even acknowledging the fact that she knows his secret identity, and he just keeps rolling.
Yeah. I did think that was kind of a dumb decision on his part, that he was standing right next to his parents' grave as there is someone else in the cemetery. He might have maybe just rolled over to another grave just to put a little bit of distance between him and the words Wayne, or the word Wayne.
I felt like that was so, I don't know. From her perspective, it's kind of a reach, I feel like. I mean, just because he was there, he could have been walking through any part of the cemetery, and just because he passed that gravestone, you're like, wait a second. And then he doesn't deny anything.
But she also had that previous experience, though, with
That's
the
true.
flashbacks.
Right.
And he even said to her, oh, I made a vow and stuff like this to my parents. So she's seen him
she put two and
there
two
enough to be like, oh, wait a minute.
But I definitely thought that the flashbacks were fantastic.
Yes. And I think as an adult, I appreciate them way more
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was such a great.
Although that first one is really long.
Sure.
Yeah.
That first one is like almost 10 minutes screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really long flashback, but it sets everything up in a way. But with every flashback that happens, nothing gets better in the flashbacks. They're like progressively getting worse for Bruce.
And you could like see he was like ready to move on from the vow and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then he proposes and it just spirals out of control from that point on. And as soon as he gets that letter from her and the ring back, he like full bore into Batman.
Yeah, she's just the little push that he needed.
Engagement over. I am the knight.
Literally.
Having watched it for the first time, years after it was out on DVD, I didn't know the Joker was in it. And so that first shot that you get of basically the Joker, pre-Joker, in the car, I think he's in one of the gangsters' cars. He's the driver, and just the nose is so
pronounced.
It's such an identifiable mark of the animated version of Joker that I was like, is that the fucking Joker? And then I was really glad that they actually did go forward with that and like, yeah, that was the Joker. Good job. Like,
yep. But I love that there's no. He's really a supporting character here. He's not.
Yeah.
In any way the focal point of what's actually happening. He's more of like a circumstance that they have to deal with.
Yeah. He's a catalyst. He is a catalyst in that things get escalated once he's involved, which they would have to.
And I like that Sal Valestra, the mobster, like went to him.
That's him. Yeah.
To try to like, well, I just need you to kill Batman, blah blah blah, and like Joker just
here's $5 million.
$5 million up front.
Joker just kind of turned his plan on his head.
Yeah,
basically.
well, unfortunately, Valestra just didn't understand that it's not about the money; it's about sending a message. Everything burns.
Yeah. But like that's something that you think the Joker would do as a character. Like he doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about. He doesn't care about the mob. He just wants to do what he wants to do, and he murders Sal Valestra in order to set up Batman, essentially. And then he's like, he
tries to set a trap for Batman and then finds out it's not Batman.
Yeah.
And it takes him all of 2 seconds to realize who it actually is. I love that he's so many steps ahead of...
Well, he was the one who killed her father, so he knew it couldn't be him.
Well, exactly. But like he knew immediately who it was.
Right.
And I just love that everybody's not playing with a full deck except him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like of all people to play with a full deck, it's the friggin' Joker. But I think another reason why like Batman didn't figure it out sooner was because he's blinded by like his feelings towards her.
Totally. And this is a great example of a story where Bruce this is the story that Bruce learns from going forward. Like this is like this whole his romance with Andrea is the reason why he doesn't take on any girlfriends or fiancés or whatever, and if he does, he eventually makes them so frustrated with him that they leave because of this woman,
or he just outright rejects them.
Yeah,
right. Because he knows that it blinds him and it makes him weak and it makes him susceptible to really stupid decisions, and he makes a few of them in this.
What did we think of that first scene where we first meet Phantasm?
I love the design itself is great. It's so simple, but it's fucking
it's
terrifying.
It's a stylized Grim Reaper.
Yeah, but then all the smoke that's constantly billowing out, I just think it's a really cool design. And then the voice, of course, Stacy Keach. That's a hell of a way to go, is to have him drive out the parking garage, like out the parking structure, fly across the street, land in the building next door, and then you just hear him laying on the horn.
Yep.
Yeah. Which for some reason, that's very graphic.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking the same
just sitting,
thing.
laying on it.
Always had a little problem with the fact that, you know, Batman takes the glass and studies the compound, and then that never really goes anywhere.
It leads him to find the compound elsewhere, and then he's starting to put together that there is a compound.
Right, but it doesn't lead to him like tracking down a place where she's making this stuff, and to be honest, that power of hers is majorly ill defined. It just kind of comes out of her glove, and then allows her to disappear.
She's got a smoke machine on her back.
Yeah, I was thinking the way that they did that, it was almost like a ninja style move where they would like drop a smoke bomb and then like use that.
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, that's how it would have to play out. But yeah.
It's and just like theatricality and deception.
That theory that it's just like a smoke bomb and she just gets out of the way is kind of turned on its head in the cemetery when she's attacking. Is his name Buzz?
Buzz Bronski.
Yeah. And he swings the pickaxe at her, and it goes through the smoke, and then she's there again. So she laid down.
My whole thing with that
really
was
quickly.
Like she
did a
put
burpee.
Up a giant thing and then like ducked it. You know?
Yeah, no, she did a quick jump down on the ground, did a push up, and then jump back up.
Because I was watching it, and he swings fully through that smoke, so it's not like she just like stepped back.
Well, at first he swings the axe and she cuts off the tip of it, so he throws he throws just like the handle.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, when Chucky Saul is shooting at her, and she keeps going, so.
No, she cut the gun in half.
Yeah.
Like one slice.
They didn't get into it, but I would have assumed that she would have had some sort of armor. Like, she would have had some sort of body armor.
Hopefully it was what was making her shoulders so broad.
Another one of the scenes that jumped out to me was when the councilman is poisoned by Joker and he's in the hospital.
Oh, yeah, that was unsettling at best.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was the best way to handle, like, the way Joker poisons you. Like, he uses, like, a neurotoxin, and you're laughing, but he's so scared, and you could tell, because he's crying, he's terrified, but he can't stop laughing.
It's very
and I
disturbing.
love that Batman does not give a shit about your condition.
Nope.
Right.
He's still going to question you, and you're going to give up really huge pieces of information and not be able to control yourself.
But big props to that voice actor, because his performance in that scene was great.
I believe I was reading he was in Die Hard.
He was. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
He was in Die Hard, and apparently in Die Hard, he's the character that also flips on everybody as well.
Yes. He's a complete dick.
I wonder how different this movie would have been if they were told, hey, go make a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they knew they were making a direct to home
video
movie. Yeah, like a direct to video movie that was what they were aware that they were making. But I definitely think that if they knew it was going to be a full blown theatrical release, it would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
But the writer of it, I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 writers total on this.
Yeah, 4.
They wanted to the main guy, or however you want to word that. He wanted to do a love story with Batman, with Bruce Wayne, because that hadn't been explored in the animated series to that point. So that was really what he was going for, and then different people filled in different parts of it. Some people wrote the flashbacks, and then the end of it, and then filled in some other stuff.
Yeah, Alan Burnett, who was one of the producers on the series, was the guy who conceptualized the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had Martin Pascoe, Michael Reeves, and Paul Dini do other story stuff.
And I believe is Paul Dini's the guy who was mugged, right?
Yeah.
So that happened during production of this.
Mm-hmm. Because he wrote about it in his graphic novel that he released, Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm. But that happened during the production of this movie, and he almost backed out of the entire Batman everything.
Yeah.
Really?
But obviously Paul Dini is like really well known for his contributions to Batman and the animated series, such as like Harley Quinn and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote Batman Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. The first game and the Arkham City.
Yeah.
If only they brought him back for Arkham Knight.
Ooh.
Maybe Arkham Knight wouldn't have been Jason Todd.
Wait a second.
Hold the phone.
What are you saying, Jordan?
God damn it.
Andrew, I don't know how to tell you this, but the Arkham Knight, it's Jason Todd.
Jordan, Jason Todd is dead.
Well,
God.
so just, I mean, let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk more about the animated series as a whole.
Sucks. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, look, we're all going to be saying glowing things about it, so it's one of the best animated series ever done. Just outright.
Oh, easily.
I think it's probably the best, if not top 2 best depictions of Batman ever.
Yeah, I'd put it up there, definitely.
Yeah,
Because it's just, it encapsulates everything about the character. They have the opportunity, because there's so many episodes and so many villains involved and everything, to go from him being the detective to him being the actual hand-to-hand combatant, to the more supernatural stuff. So like, it runs the gamut, covers all the bases, and I think really it's probably the best depiction of him ever, other than like in actual comic books.
Mine is always going to be The Dark Knight, because out of all the Batman things I've ever watched and enjoyed, the first time I watched the Dark Knight in theaters, it was a midnight screening on its premiere night in 2008. When it went to credits, I was crying, and not like weeping, but like there were tears in my eyes because it was so fucking perfect. So to me, that's always going to be, that's now the bar that has to be met. Because it raised itself above the animated series, above Tim Burton's Batman, which to me was the greatest thing ever. But that's not to say that the animated series is bad. It's just to me it's just not as good as The Dark Knight, but it is still like you said, top 2 or 3 definitely.
See, I will go ahead and say that the animated series for me is better than The Dark Knight. When I think Batman, I think the animated series. When I read a Batman comic, I hear Mark Hamill as the Joker. I hear Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Every time.
Like
Every time.
Commissioner Gordon, his voice.
Yep.
Everyone from this series has affected me in a different way, and this is what I think of when I think Batman.
No, look, the voice acting is beyond compare. I mean, like, it's without rival. Like, I think her name's Andrea Romano. I think I saw every time the credits would roll.
Yes.
She's the casting director.
Yep.
She one of the greatest casting directors of all time. They got so many amazing voice actors, and not just voice actors, but amazing actors to be voices, to be characters on the show. But yeah, Kevin Conroy, of course, there's a reason why they got him to be in so many of the Batman games, and Mark Hamill as Joker as well. Those are 2 iconic voices, definitely.
To the point where it's weird if you hear somebody else.
I didn't believe my mom when she told me that it was Luke Skywalker that was the Joker.
I didn't know that for years. Until the internet was invented.
I didn't believe she was like that. Yeah, you hear that? Because she always used to play this game with me where anything that was animated or any sort of voice acting, I'd have to close my eyes and try to picture who was talking. And like examples include the prospector from Toy Story 2 being Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
That's one that comes right to the top of my head because like I had no idea, and then I listened to it and I was like, is that fucking Frasier guy?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely, like, I couldn't hear it. Like, he transforms his voice in a way that you just can't hear the similarities between the two.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill did did many voices throughout the show as well.
Yeah.
So he's a prolific voice actor in his own right. It's great.
Well, he wasn't even the original Joker. That was Tim Curry was the original Joker.
In the animated series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he recorded the first like couple of episodes, and they weren't like really feeling it. And they had they had Mark Hamill on in the Mr. Freeze episode as like the bad guy who ran Gothcorp.
Yeah.
And they liked his performance so much, they were like, "Hey, why don't you give this a try?" And they fell in love with him as Joker, and so they wound up recasting him.
Because Tim Curry probably was too Cesar Romero. I would imagine that he was just doing an homage to Cesar Romero.
Clearly, Mark Hamill stood the test of time in this because he's very...
They keep wanting him to do it.
Yeah.
Iconic. Literally iconic.
Yeah.
But not only just Mark Hamill's iconic performance and like not only just the voice acting, but like the film noir aesthetics and like the artistic presentation of the series. Like,
yeah.
It's
it's the coolest fucking thing probably about the show is just what it looks like. They took the general Burton-esque appearance of 89 and Returns,
right,
and they just extrapolated it to what they made that Gotham and all of those vehicles and all of that stuff. It's timeless, but it's also set in a time.
Absolutely.
It's just you don't know when.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just set in the past. That's what it feels like. It just feels like the past.
It's set like in the 40s, but in a 40s that takes place now.
Yeah. It's like an alternate reality where
the 2040s.
Batman has this supercomputer, but it's also they're watching TV in black and white.
And they have jet engines, and they have satellites.
Blimps.
And yet they're still using airships.
Yeah. The police use blimps. So it's a very like the dichotomy between the technology is so interesting.
And
but just all the buildings are Art Deco.
Yeah.
The design of the vehicles is my favorite thing. I love how they all look like those old 40s cars. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it goes in line with like the pulp aesthetic of the comics too.
Right.
The early comics.
Even like armored cars they built up, you know, they have like Art Deco designs, like semi-futuristic designs that would have been futuristic back in the 40s, you know.
Yeah.
They dubbed it Dark Deco while working on the series. And I know one of the biggest differences in the animation style was everything was drawn on black paper.
Yeah.
So it made it stand out.
That's awesome. I love personally that everyone wears fedoras, or a lot of men wear fedoras, because I love fedoras. Even not in that tip my hat to you, milady thing, but I just love fedoras in general. So
it's and all the men like wear suits. It's a very old school,
right?
You know, nobody's like like when you see Bruce Wayne in sweatpants, it's like he's not going to the store.
No, he's going to work out.
Yeah. Or he's doing jiu-jitsu in his backyard, but it's clearly taekwondo.
He was in a gi, all right? What do you want?
He's a master of several martial arts, all right? Let's be clear.
Bruce Wayne, the first mixed martial artist.
120.
But even like the red sky in the show like always stood out to me.
Yes.
Like I love the way that they made Gotham City look.
When I was younger, I had several VHSs of the animated series, but they were like character specific.
Yep. I had those as well. Like they had a Penguin set.
Yep. There was a Penguin, Riddler, Joker, Two-Face,
Poison Ivy,
Catwoman, Robin, and then Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had all of them that were available, and I used to watch them all the time.
Yeah, this show really like impacted me, and especially when they released the series on DVD, I was so excited to like go and find them and watch like the bonus features that they had. For those that don't know, my day job is a video editor. And one of the things that I got from this series specifically was Bruce Timm was talking about the way that they would cut scenes together and how he would never cut a scene without any action. If someone was walking right before they left the scene, that's where they would cut. There'd always be some sort of movement within a scene, and I take that in everything that I do now on a daily basis.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm trying to like picture it now, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
there's always movement in everything.
You'll never see someone walk out of a scene and then they cut. They're always about to leave. So I just kind of adopted that for my editing style. So like going from the style and the dark deco and everything, let's talk about the villains in the show, because the villains are just as much of a part of this series as Batman.
One, I always really liked that the very first episode features Man-Bat.
Yeah.
Of all the villains they could choose, on Leather Wings. Is
You would
the
think
pilot episode.
Joker.
But
Yeah.
he doesn't show up till the third episode.
Yeah.
Or something.
Third episode.
Yep.
Christmas with the Joker.
Well, the first episode that they put into production was the Man-Bat episode, but technically when it aired on television, the first episode to air was Cat and the Claw, part 1 and 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
Because I remember watching it. I remember when it premiered. I could have sworn that first episode was the Man-Bat episode.
Yeah, no, they on all the DVDs and home releases and stuff, it's all in production order. But the original air dates, they dumped Cat and the Claw first.
Well, the first episode that I saw, and so I guess I missed it after the premiere, but that was the first episode I saw was on Leathery Wings.
Yeah. So who's everyone's like favorite villain, I would say, from this show?
It's so easy to say the Joker. You know what I mean? Because of the iconic performance, because of how this show built up the character, but
Let's handicap the Joker out of it then. So let's just say
that's what I was going to say.
Joker is everyone's favorite. So then beyond that, who's your next favorite?
I always really liked the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
He was very good in this. His design was pretty good. It wasn't until the new Adventures of Batman and Robin from the late 90s where he got that incredible redesign where he looked fucking terrifying.
Yep.
With the noose around his neck and everything. But I've just always liked the Scarecrow as a character. So whenever I get to see him in anything, it's always fun.
I would say for me, it would have to be Clayface.
I definitely thought you were going to say Mr. Freeze. Wow.
Yeah, no, I love the characterization that they did for Clayface. That whole first part of his 2-part origin story, you just felt bad for the dude.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Really? It was Ron Perlman?
You guys are really
Perlman.
stealing my thunder here because this is my favorite episode you're talking about. So
Really?
Okay.
I just got done
Stealing all of
watching
my
the first
thunder.
part.
Feet of Clay?
yeah, Feet of Clay Part 1 and 2
Yeah.
with
Dude.
the follow up of Mudslide.
That character is like everything to me. He had like such a unique look from the rest of the villains in that show.
Absolutely.
The animation for when he would like transform and do crazy shit always just looks so good. And then they even did an episode as part of the new Batman Adventures during the redesign featuring him. And that was such a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking episode.
I remember watching the new Adventures, the later, like the later seasons, I guess you would call it, but they don't stick out as much to me as the original.
Yeah.
Because when everyone became a little more blocky and angular, like even more so than they were already.
Well, they designed him to match up with Superman the Animated Series, and then later
Exactly.
Justice League and Batman Beyond
Yeah,
and Static
it all-
Shock.
Yeah.
I love Clayface. He's one of my favorites, but I would have to say my favorite, other than Joker, would be Mr. Freeze. Heart of Ice is such a great episode.
Yeah, they won an Emmy for that.
Yeah. And I love the way that they do his voice, where he's kind of a man in a cup.
My
Deep cuts.
Nora. My Nora.
I love the design of him. I love his freeze ray looks amazing. The way they animated it shooting looks awesome, where it's got like a central wide beam, but then it has like a spiral ice beam around it. Like, it just, I love everything about Freeze. I did not like when later on they made him into just like a head on a metal spider. Like,
I agree
that
with
was-
that.
that was
Didn't
dumb.
That was
that.
weird.
Yeah,
But I think they retconned that out
Okay,
in
well, that's
Batman
good.
Beyond.
But yeah, so and Freeze, I love that design so much that when they announced that there was going to be Mr. Freeze and Batman and Robin, I was like, oh, good. And then, of course, I saw it, and then I was suicidal. No, no, but then it took them bringing him back in. I believe he was back in the in video game form, I should say. They brought him back in a form that I liked in, I think it was Arkham City.
Yeah.
Arkham City, he looked amazing in that.
Yeah.
Great
yeah,
boss
so
fight.
so he's my, other than Joker, he's my favorite villain in the animated series. Although they are all fucking amazing.
He's featured in Arkham Knight as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
So when you eventually do play that.
right.
Well, golly, Rob, who would your favorite be?
Well, that's not fair because it's, you guys all know, but fuck, man, it's Two-Face.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be the Penguin. Sorry,
And
my bad.
Yeah, with like a 1A being Penguin, because it's a tall. I love both of those characters so much. But Two-Face was always like, that was the character specific VHS that I always popped in, was Two-Face.
The animated Two-Face is so good, and like that 2-part episode is amazing.
Yeah,
It's right up there in the top 10 episodes. You know,
he's just so sad to me.
And I always loved the fact that they introduced Harvey Dent as a character way before
Yeah.
Yep.
they ever made him Two-Face.
Yep.
yeah,
Is it
it's like the
just
10th
that
episode
impact?
until when he gets literally turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of the things that happens in Gotham. It's not like, it's like a plot point in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's a deep cut.
I like that.
Here's a deep cut. The voice of Two-Face is Richard Mall, who who I don't know how many other people besides me watched Night Court, but he was Bull in Night Court, one of the massive bald bailiff. And when I
Okay.
found out that was Two-Face, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me! Like, it's insane.
He also was the ghost in Scary Movie 2.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So anytime I would
He
watch
was-
Scary Movie 2, I'd be like, oh my god, it's Two-Face.
Jesus.
There's so many good villains.
You can't go wrong.
No.
The animated version of, I should say, at least the Batman the Animated Series version of Killer Croc was great.
Yes.
Poison Ivy, obviously introducing Harley, who, to me, that's the ultimate Harley in the
Yeah.
animated series. Just you can't go wrong.
But then
Fuck,
you also have the Riddler, John
Yeah, of
Glover
course.
as the Riddler.
the Mad Hatter. I love
yeah,
him.
Mad Hatter.
One of my favorite single episodes, The Clock King. I love that. Temple Fugate. I
Yup.
love that episode. And that
But
and
then it
him.
was all of the villains that they introduced specifically for the series. Like Baby Doll was one, Sewer King,
Hardak.
yeah,
Oh, Hardak, yeah.
Hardak. Of all those, Baby Doll always stood out. She was like she was affected with the condition where she couldn't grow. Was that her?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like with the Killer Croc episode,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
a great episode.
And then Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Ra's al Ghul stands out to me because of the way that he carried himself all the time and would always refer to Batman as detective. And
Detective.
stuff like that.
Well, that's also one of my favorite things about Two-Face in the animated series is that Batman never calls him Two-Face.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's always Harvey.
It's always Harvey. Always. Because he's always trying to appeal to the human that's there rather than the monster that it's created. But I also, for whatever reason, when I was younger, was after watching this show, was very interested in Jekyll and Hyde. I read that like constantly. My favorite Universal monster is Wolfman. So the they're all very similar characters in a way. So I don't know exactly what the fuck's going on in my head.
Fast forward to the trial. Your Honor, we didn't really see it until we did a podcast where Rob basically admitted to being a serial killer.
I just like the guy. I like the characters that struggle with the part of their brain that's telling them to do bad things.
Like the duality.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. Because not really. I mean, most characters, if they're written well, have a complexity to that level, but like Joker doesn't have that complexity.
No.
Penguin doesn't have that complexity. Scarecrow doesn't, you know what I mean? Like maybe Mr. Freeze, but he's like driven for a reason, which is why he's doing the things he's doing. But Harvey can't decide what the fuck is happening in his head, and that's why it's my favorite.
How about favorite episodes? Maybe top 3, if you can do that, or at least some that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, like I said, my favorite episode is Feet of Clay Part 1 and Part 2 with the mudslide follow-up. So I kind of look at that as a just one whole episode of, that's an hour long.
A short film.
Yeah. Yeah, like you, Jordan, I think Matt Hagen is a great character. Because you do feel for the guy. He had a horrible disfiguring accident that, made him prey to the predatory Roland Daggett trying to get his Renew You out on the market. It's one of the better animated episodes. I know that the whole series has really good animation, but there are a few episodes that you can just see like the animation is just really on point. Like one of those is Demon's Quest Part 1 and Part 2.
Yes.
Those two episodes are so beautifully animated. Like but yeah, when he turns into Clayface, I mean, it's just, and his powers are fucking amazing. And even as a teenager watching this in, just preteens and early teens, when the first time he makes he has lobster claws, giant lobster claws, like explode from his hands. I was like, oh God, like it was mind blowing, to see that in a cartoon. I love that. And yeah, I love Clayface as a villain. And Ron Perlman knocked it out of the park as a voice actor. I thought Ed Asner was great as Daggett. They had the guy Germs is Ed Begley Jr. So they had a really great cast for those episodes. So that's my favorite episode. But I should say there are a bunch of them right below there, like a Soul of Silicon and
his Silicon Soul.
Silicon Soul, and then the one with Hardak. That's a great 2-parter. Like I said, the Clock King is a great standout episode. The episode where there was a gangster dealing with his son being a drug addict, that was an amazing episode.
Yes.
Oh God, that stands out to me. So there are so many amazing episodes, and of course Heart of Ice.
I'll take the easy out because nobody mentioned it yet. Almost got him.
Yeah,
I was just
about to
almost
say.
got him.
That's yeah, but I mean, we've talked about that so much time. That's just like, that's also handicapped. Like, it's like, okay, what other than almost got him? Like,
right.
I want to say it was in the New Adventures, but episode Over the Edge.
Yeah, that one is probably my favorite out of all of them.
Arguably the darkest
Not
episode
familiar.
in the entire series.
Brian, I implore you to go watch it.
I don't even want to say anything.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
You can tell me. That's fine, because I don't know if I'll ever watch it. So,
dude,
because I have seen episodes from the New Adventures, but again, it's just not my. The design just really pushes me away. But so please, for those who have seen it, they'd like to hear you talk about it, I'm sure.
Well, spoiler alert! It starts off with Batgirl falling to her death onto Commissioner Gordon's car.
Ooh,
and
Sold.
from the point of view
Jesus
of
Christ,
Gordon.
Wow. Yeah.
And then he finds out that it's Barbara, and so he goes after Batman. Like, he finds out everything. It's the craziest. Oh, it's so good.
Fucking awesome.
It's so good. The way that they pulled that episode off.
Did they make her Oracle off of that?
No, she dies.
wow.
Yeah.
She
Then
legit.
how
They
do they
kill
explain
her.
her in Batman Beyond.
They kill her off.
It's all revealed it was a fear toxin hallucination. But to start the episode that way, I remember
Yeah.
seeing that and being like, "What the fuck? What is this?"
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
That one,
That's awesome. I was gonna say, I remember from my Riddler VHS, there's an episode where he puts them in a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Oh, like a
That's,
virtual reality, right?
That's
Yeah.
if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
so
That's
smart.
a great episode.
If you're so
If you're so
smart, why
smart.
aren't you rich?
Yeah.
That's one of my.
That's-
That's got to be one of my favorites. I watched
That is a great episode.
constantly.
Also,
Yeah.
fantastic title. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And then later on, we get What is Reality, which is a great Riddler episode because he puts them inside a virtual reality thing.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The virtual reality episode.
If I had to pick one that wasn't mentioned yet, I'd probably go with Trial,
I was gonna,
which is
yeah.
where Batman gets imprisoned in Arkham Asylum and all of the villains are like running the asylum and they put him on trial.
Oh, that's right.
And I just remember like Scarecrow walking with that giant scythe and like just everyone kind of going after. Oh, it was great. There's
Fun
so many
fact.
good episodes in this series.
The voice actor for Scarecrow in that episode was recovering from throat surgery, and that's why Scarecrow doesn't talk at all.
Is Trial from New Adventures?
No, that's from the animated series.
Oh, okay.
The Man Who Killed Batman. You guys remember that one?
Yup.
Yeah, I do.
The squid. It was like some small time guy, and it looks like he killed Batman, so he gets all of these people like on his back, and God, it's such a good one.
I'll even go like, I know that people have shit on Tiger. I liked that episode. I thought it was really well animated. I thought it was really different. I liked it. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there.
I don't think I dislike any episode of this show. Going with the New Adventures though, like thinking of an episode, there was Never Fear, which Scarecrow develops like a new toxin. Instead of like inducing fear, it completely eliminates it, and he poisons Batman with it. So Batman just becomes like reckless and dangerous. And so Robin has to basically like stop him from going too far.
I like it.
Adam West. He voiced
Beware-
the Gray Ghost.
Beware the
right?
Gray
Beware the
Ghost.
Gray Ghost.
Yeah.
One of the best ones. To see Batman fanboying out.
I can't say enough good things about this show. If you don't own it, I highly recommend owning it. If our giveaway is still going on, you could always, get in on that.
You've got until the end of November to enter our giveaway
So yeah, you could own the whole series.
for free. Just follow the steps on our post.
So any final thoughts regarding Batman the Animated Series?
It's good.
Watch it. Then watch it again.
No, I mean, Mask of the Phantasm is great. Animated series is a definitive take on the character of Batman, and if you haven't seen it already, what the fuck, dude?
Enter our giveaway.
Yeah, enter our giveaway and like fucking rectify that shit. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're coming to get you. The four of us are gonna show up to your house.
If you don't watch this fucking show, I'm gonna punch your face off of your motorcycle.
So for Pop Cannon, thank you for listening. Please stick around for way more content. We release episodes usually every other week, so stick around. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But for Pop Cannon, I'm Jordan.
I am Robert.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Brian.
Harvey, no.
Yeah.